What if I told you that your brain is lying to you, right now, at this very moment? Not because you're unintelligent, not because you're uneducated, but because your brain, the most powerful organ in the known universe, was built with a fatal flaw. A flaw that makes you overpay for things you don't need. A flaw that makes you trust the wrong people. A flaw that quietly destroys your finances, your relationships, and your decisions every single day without you ever noticing. And the worst part? The smarter you think you are, the harder this flaw hits you. In 2011, a Princeton University psychologist and Nobel Prize winner named Daniel Kahneman published a book that shook the entire world of science, economics, and psychology. The book was called Thinking Fast and Slow. And in it, Kahneman revealed something that most people will go their entire lives never understanding: that your brain doesn't have one way of thinking. It has two. One is fast, emotional, and automatic. The other is slow, logical, and deliberate. And the war between these two systems is responsible for almost every mistake you've ever made in your life. Today, we are going to go through every single chapter of this book. We are going to break it down in a way that is simple, powerful, and life-changing. By the end of this video, you will never think about your own thinking the same way again. So take a breath, get comfortable, and let's dive in. Part 1. Two Systems. Chapter 1. The Characters of the Story. Let's start at the very beginning. Kahneman introduces us to two characters. He calls them System 1 and System 2. Now these aren't actual parts of your brain you can point to on a diagram. They're more like two personalities living inside your head, two voices, two ways of processing the world. System 1 is fast. It works automatically, instantly, and without any effort on your part. When you see the face of an angry person and immediately feel uncomfortable, that's System 1. When you hear 2 plus 2 and the answer, 4, just appears in your mind without thinking, that's System 1. It never sleeps. It never takes a break. It is always running in the background of your mind, making snap judgments and quick decisions before you even realize it. System 2 is slow. It requires focus, effort, concentration. When you try to solve a difficult math problem, like 17 times 24, you feel your brain actually working. That's System 2 kicking in. It handles complex reasoning, careful analysis, and deliberate decision-making. Now here's the key insight Kahneman gives us in this very first chapter. We like to believe that System 2 is in charge. We like to think that we are rational, logical, careful thinkers who weigh all the options before making decisions. But the truth is brutal. System 1 is running the show. Almost all the time. System 2 is lazy. It avoids hard work whenever possible. And so it lets System 1 make most of your decisions, without question, without review, without even asking. This is where almost every mistake in human judgment begins. Chapter 2. Attention and Effort. In this chapter, Kahneman explores what happens when System 2 actually does engage. Here's something fascinating. When humans are doing a mentally demanding task, their pupils literally dilate. Your eyes physically change when your brain is working hard. Kahneman and his colleagues actually measured this in their research labs. But here's the thing about System 2, it has a limited budget. It can only spend so much mental energy before it gets tired and hands control back to System 1. This is why after a long day of hard thinking, making decisions at work, solving problems, managing people, you come home and make terrible choices. You eat junk food. You binge TV. You snap at the people you love. Your System 2 is exhausted, and System 1 takes over completely. Kahneman calls this cognitive depletion, and understanding it is the first step to protecting yourself from it. Chapter 3. The Lazy Controller. This chapter is one of the most eye-opening in the entire book. Kahneman introduces an experiment. People are asked to walk and think at the same time, specifically to solve difficult mental problems while walking. What happens? Their walking slows down. or they stop entirely. But because System 2 cannot handle two demanding tasks at once, it sacrifices one to protect the other. But more importantly, Kahneman reveals the concept of flow, those rare, magical moments when a task is challenging but perfectly matched to your skill level. In flow states, System 1 and System 2 work together in harmony. The work feels effortless. Time disappears. The lesson? Your brain is not designed for constant hard thinking. It is designed to be lazy whenever possible. And knowing this, truly accepting it, changes how you approach every decision in your life. Chapter 4. The Associative Machine. Here is where things get really interesting. System 1 doesn't just react to the world. It constantly creates connections, associations, between ideas, words, images, and emotions. Kahneman gives us a simple but powerful example. If someone shows you the word banana and then immediately shows you a string of letters, you will recognize the word vomit much faster than normal. But because your System 1 instantly connected bananas to eating, to the mouth, to the stomach. This is called priming, and it affects you far more deeply than just word recognition. Studies show that if you make people think about money, even subconsciously, like by having a screensaver of dollar bills in the background, they become more selfish and less willing to help others. If you make people think about old age, showing them words like wrinkle, retirement, Florida, they actually walk more slowly when they leave the room. Your thoughts are being shaped by your environment every single moment, and you have almost no awareness of it happening. Chapter 5. Cognitive Ease. Kahneman now introduces one of the most powerful concepts in the entire book, cognitive ease. Simply put, your brain loves things that are easy to process, and it assigns positive feelings to them. Companies with easy-to-pronounce names perform better on the stock market after their IPO. People are more likely to believe a statement if it is printed in a clear, bold font versus a blurry, hard-to-read one, regardless of whether the statement is actually true. Messages that rhyme are judged as more truthful than messages that don't. Think about that for a moment. Your brain is using ease of processing as a shortcut for truth. Not logic, not evidence, not facts. Just, how easy was that to understand? This is how advertising works. This is how propaganda works. This is how con artists work. And now you know it. Chapter 6. Norms, Surprises, and Causes. System 1 is a master at detecting patterns and being shocked when those patterns are broken. Kahneman explains that your brain constantly builds a model of what is normal in your world. When something violates that model, System 1 fires an alarm instantly. But here's the dangerous part. System 1 doesn't just detect patterns. It invents causes. When two events happen close together, your brain automatically assumes one caused the other. This is called causal thinking, and while it helped our ancestors survive, today it leads us into enormous errors. We are story-making machines, and we will invent a story, a cause, even when none exists. Chapter 7. A Machine for Jumping to Conclusions. This chapter gives us one of Kahneman's most important phrases. WSIATI, what you see is all there is. System 1 takes whatever information is in front of it and immediately builds the most coherent story possible from that information alone. It doesn't account for what it doesn't know. It doesn't ask, what am I not seeing? It just jumps. This is called the halo effect, and it is one of the most dangerous biases in human judgment. The first piece of information you receive about a person colors everything that follows. Chapter 8. How Judgments Happen. System 1 is constantly making evaluations, even when nobody asked it to. You can't look at a face without instantly evaluating whether that person is trustworthy. You can't hear a voice without instantly judging confidence. When you consciously think through a decision, you often think you are being rational and logical. But what you're actually doing in many cases is building logical-sounding justifications for what System 1 already decided. Chapter 9. Answering an Easier Question. You're not thinking. You're rationalizing. This chapter introduces one of the most important concepts in behavioral psychology, substitution. When System 1 faces a question that is too hard to answer, it quietly replaces it with an easier question and answers that instead. The question, "How happy are you with your life overall?" gets replaced with, "What mood am I in right now?" Studies showed that people's reported life satisfaction was dramatically affected by whether they found a dime on a photocopier before filling out the survey. Finding a single dime made people say their overall life was significantly better. Part 2. Heuristics and Biases. Chapter 10. The Law of Small Numbers. 1 dime. That's the power of substitution. Human beings are terrible at understanding randomness. We see patterns in random data constantly because System 1 is a pattern recognition machine that never turns off. Small samples produce extreme results far more often than large samples. But when people see that a small rural school consistently produces top-performing students, they don't think small sample size. They think there must be something special about small schools. This is why so many business strategies, medical treatments, and investment approaches are built on evidence that is statistically meaningless, but feels completely convincing. Chapter 11. Anchors. This chapter reveals one of the most powerful and most exploited biases in human psychology. When you are exposed to any number before making an estimate, that number pulls your estimate toward it, even if the number is completely random and completely irrelevant. In one famous experiment, participants spun a wheel rigged to stop at either 10 or 65. Those who got 65 guessed 45% of African nations were UN members. Those who got 10 guessed just 25%. A random spinning will change their answers by 20 percentage points. A salesperson shows you a $3,000 watch first, then shows you the $500 watch they actually want to sell you. The $500 feels like a bargain. Anchoring is everywhere. And now you can see it. Chapter 12. The Science of Availability. Why do people fear plane crashes more than car crashes, even though cars are statistically far more dangerous? Because plane crashes are available in your memory. They're dramatic. They're on the news. Your brain can retrieve images of them instantly. Kahneman calls this the availability heuristic. Your brain judges the probability of something by how easily an example comes to mind. Your sense of risk is not based on statistics. It's based on memory, on vividness, on emotion. Chapter 13. Availability, Emotion, and Risk. Kahneman introduces the concept of the effect heuristic. Simply put, if you feel good about something, you think it is safe and beneficial. If you feel bad about something, you think it is risky and harmful. The feeling comes first. The risk assessment follows, and is completely colored by the feeling. This is why it is almost impossible to have rational public conversations about nuclear power, vaccines, or GMO foods. Chapter 14. Tom W.'s Specialty. Kahneman shows that when people are given a personality description of a fictional student, neat, orderly, detail-oriented, somewhat cold, they overwhelmingly predict he is studying computer science or engineering, even when explicitly told that only a tiny fraction of students are in those fields. This is called the representativeness heuristic. We judge probability by similarity to a prototype, not by actual statistics. Chapter 15. Linda. Less is more. This chapter contains perhaps the most famous experiment in the entire book. Meet Linda. Linda is 31 years old, single, outspoken, and very bright. She majored in philosophy and was deeply concerned with issues of discrimination and social justice. Which is more probable? A. Linda is a bank teller. B. Linda is a bank teller and is active in the feminist movement. The overwhelming majority of people choose option B. But this is logically impossible. Option B is a subset of option A. The probability of two things being true can never be higher than just one of them being true. This is called the conjunction fallacy, our brains judge probability by how well something fits the story rather than by actual logic. Chapter 16. Causes trump statistics. When people are given statistical information alongside a human story, the story wins almost every time. We are not built to think statistically. We are built to think in stories. This is why the most effective communicators don't lead with data. They lead with stories, and then back those stories with data. Lead with the human. Follow with the numbers. Chapter 17. Regression to the mean. In any process that involves both skill and luck, extreme results are followed by more average results. Not because anything changed, but because extreme outcomes require an unusual combination of skill and luck. A golfer plays the round of his life on day 1. On day 2, he plays worse. Commentators say he choked under pressure. But the truth might simply be, he got extraordinarily lucky on day 1, and average luck followed. Leaders who criticized teams after a bad quarter and then saw improvement concluded criticism works. But regression to the mean was doing the work. Chapter 18. Taming intuitive predictions. When making predictions, we need to actively correct for our intuitive overconfidence. Start with the base rate. What is the average outcome for situations like this one? Then adjust from there based on your specific evidence. But don't stray too far from the average. This feels deeply uncomfortable, because it means accepting that you know less than you feel like you know. But the predictions that result are dramatically more accurate. Part 3. Overconfidence. Chapter 19. The illusion of understanding. Kahneman calls it the narrative fallacy. Human beings cannot resist turning sequences of events into stories, with causes, turning points, heroes, and villains. The 2008 financial crisis feels obvious in hindsight. Of course, the housing bubble was going to burst. Of course, the banks were over-leveraged. But almost nobody saw it coming at the time. Hindsight bias makes us overestimate how predictable the world is. It prevents us from learning honestly from our mistakes. Chapter 20. The illusion of validity. Kahneman describes his own experience evaluating Israeli military recruits. He felt highly confident in his predictions about which recruits would make strong officers. Then they tracked the actual outcomes. His predictions were no better than random chance. This is the illusion of validity. When a story feels coherent, we feel confident, even when our track record proves that confidence is completely unwarranted. Chapter 21. Intuitions versus formulas. One of the most controversial findings in the book, in study after study, across field after field, simple statistical formulas outperform expert human judgment. Predicting which patients will attempt suicide. Predicting which wine vintages will be most valuable. In almost every case, a simple formula beats the expert. Because experts get tired, distracted, and influenced by irrelevant information. Formulas don't have moods. Chapter 22. Expert intuition. When can we trust it? Expert intuition can be trusted, but only under very specific conditions. Condition 1. The environment must be regular and predictable enough that patterns actually exist to be learned. Condition 2. The expert must have had extensive practice with clear, rapid feedback on whether their judgments were correct. Chess grandmasters have genuine, trustworthy intuition. Stock market analysts making long-term predictions? Their environment is too chaotic for genuine expertise to develop. Chapter 23. The outside view. This chapter introduces the planning fallacy. When people plan projects, they almost universally underestimate how long it will take and how much it will cost. The cure is brutally simple. Before committing to any plan, ask, what is the track record of similar projects? Not, what do I plan to do? But, what actually happened to others who plan the same thing? The outside view feels pessimistic. But Chapter 24. The engine of capitalism. Overconfidence may actually be the engine that drives entrepreneurship and economic growth. If every aspiring entrepreneur truly understood the base rate for new business failure, very few people would ever start a business. Kahneman is not condemning overconfidence. He is understanding it, recognizing that while it is individually costly, it may be collectively necessary. Part 4 Choices. Chapter 25, Bernoulli's Errors. For centuries, economists operated on the assumption that rational people make decisions based on expected value. Bernoulli refined this by proposing that people maximize utility, not raw value. But Kahneman and his research partner Amos Tversky discovered something Bernoulli's model completely missed. People don't evaluate outcomes based on their absolute value. They evaluate them based on changes from a reference point. And gains and losses are not evaluated symmetrically. Losses hit harder. Much harder. Chapter 26, Prospect Theory. This chapter introduces Kahneman and Tversky's most famous contribution, prospect theory, the work that earned Kahneman the Nobel Prize. Loss aversion. Losing $100 feels approximately twice as painful as gaining $100 feels pleasurable. The reference point, how you feel about any outcome, depends entirely on what you compare it to. Diminishing sensitivity. The difference between having nothing and having $1,000 feels enormous. The difference between $100,000 and $101,000 barely registers, even though the dollar amount is identical. The pain of losing is real, and it shapes almost every financial decision you will ever make. Chapter 27, The Endowment Effect. Once you own something, it becomes more valuable to you than it was before you owned it. Not because its objective value changed, but because losing it now registers as a loss. This is the endowment effect, and it operates in your life constantly. The house you've lived in for 10 years. The job title you've held for 5. You value them more than you would if you didn't already own them. And that inflated value distorts every decision you make about them. Chapter 20, Bad Events. The pain of bad events is systematically more powerful than the pleasure of good events of equal magnitude. The anxiety about a potential loss motivates action far more powerfully than the hope of an equivalent gain. This is why fear-based messaging works so much better than positive messaging in advertising, politics, and public health campaigns. Understanding loss aversion gives you a window into why negativity dominates news media. Chapter 29, The Fourfold Pattern. People are risk-averse when dealing with probable gains. People are risk-seeking when dealing with probable losses. People are risk-seeking when dealing with unlikely gains. People are risk-averse when dealing with unlikely losses. This fourfold pattern explains why people buy lottery tickets and insurance, even though both are statistically bad financial decisions. Chapter 30, Rare Events. Our minds are terrible at processing very small probabilities. When the probability of something is very small, we don't experience it as a number. We experience it as an image, a story, an emotion. This is why terrorism is so effective as a strategy, even when the actual probability of being harmed is infinitesimally small. The vividness of the images overwhelms the statistics. Chapter 31, Risk Policies. Kahneman introduces the concept of broad framing. When we make decisions one at a time, loss aversion dominates. But when we step back and make decisions as policies, recognizing we will face hundreds of similar decisions, the emotional charge diminishes. Think in portfolios. Think in policies. Think in patterns, not individual events. Chapter 32, Keeping Score. Kahneman introduces mental accounting, the unconscious practice of keeping separate mental accounts for different pools of money. Money won gambling feels different from money earned working. Money budgeted for entertainment feels different from general funds. Recognizing your own mental accounts and questioning whether the separations are serving you is a significant financial skill. Chapter 33, Reversals. A $60 jacket and a $25 calculator. The The calculator is on sale for $5 less at a store 20 minutes away. Most people make the trip. Now, a $1,000 jacket and a $965 calculator. Same $5 savings. Most people don't make the trip. The savings are mathematically identical. But because $5 feels significant relative to $25 and trivial relative to $965, the decision reverses. This is the power of relative evaluation. Chapter 34: Frames and Reality. This surgery has a 90% survival rate, and this surgery has a 10% mortality rate, are identical statements. They contain exactly the same information. But people respond to them very differently. The survival frame produces confidence. The mortality frame produces anxiety. We are all, every one of us, susceptible to the way reality is presented to us. Doctors, lawyers, financial advisors, and Nobel Prize winners all show the same framing effects. Part 5: Two Selves. Chapter 35: Two Selves. In the final section, Kahneman introduces one last profound distinction between the experiencing self and the remembering self. The experiencing self is the part of you that lives through each moment. The remembering self is the part that tells the story afterward. That creates the memory. That decides whether the experience was good or bad. And here is the disturbing part. It is the remembering self, not the experiencing self, that makes almost all your decisions. Chapter 36: Life as a Story. The remembering self follows two powerful rules. The peak-end rule. A memory is largely determined by its most intense moment and how it ended. The total duration barely matters. Duration neglect. How long an experience lasted has almost no effect on how it is remembered. Kahneman describes patients who had an extended colonoscopy at a lower level of discomfort, who objectively experienced more total discomfort but remembered the procedure as less bad, because it ended on a lower note. This explains why a wonderful 2-week vacation ruined by a bad final day leaves a sour memory. Endings matter disproportionately. Chapter 37: Experienced Well-Being. We need to distinguish between two very different things we call happiness. Experienced well-being, how much positive emotion you actually feel moment to moment. Evaluated well-being, how you assess your life when you think about it. People in high-status, high-stress jobs often report high life satisfaction. But when you track their moment-to-moment emotional experience, they often score no higher than people in less prestigious occupations. We optimize for the story of our life, and we neglect the actual texture of our daily experience. Chapter 38: Thinking About Life. We think about our lives far less often than we imagine, and when we do, the thoughts we happen to be having in that moment color our entire assessment. We don't have a stable, accurate assessment of our own happiness. We have a highly malleable, context-dependent, narrative-shaped impression that shifts constantly. This is both humbling and liberating. Humbling because our self-knowledge is shallower than we believe. Liberating because small changes in what we pay attention to can meaningfully shift our experience of happiness. So here we are. After all those chapters, all those experiments, all those Nobel Prize-winning insights, what do we actually take away? You have two systems in your mind. One is fast, effortless, and in charge most of the time. The other is slow, powerful, and lazy. You are susceptible to anchors, availability, framing, loss aversion, overconfidence, narrative fallacy, and the planning fallacy, not because you are foolish, but because you are human. The biases Kahneman describes are not character flaws. They are features of a brain built for a very different world than the one we now live in. But here is what Kahneman leaves us with. Awareness is not a cure, but awareness is a tool, the powerful one. When you slow down, when you catch yourself making a snap judgment, an overconfident prediction, or a fear-driven decision, you create a window. A brief, precious window where System 2 can step in and ask the questions System 1 never asks. What information am I missing? What is the base rate for situations like this? Am I responding to the reality or to how the reality was framed to me? Am I avoiding a loss or genuinely pursuing a gain? These questions will not make you perfect. Nothing will. But they will make you better, more aware, more honest with yourself. And in a world that is constantly trying to exploit your cognitive shortcuts, in advertising, in politics, in negotiation, in social media, that awareness is not just intellectually interesting. It is essential armor. Daniel Kahneman spent his life studying the gap between how we think and how we actually think. This book is that gap, laid bare. And now that you've seen it, you can never fully unsee it. If this video added value to your thinking today, subscribe, share it with someone you care about, and drop a comment below with the one insight that hit you hardest. Because the best investment you will ever make is in understanding your own mind. I'll see you in the next one.